Well, joined tonight by Sam, Dan, and Tuna. How are we doing, fellas?
Good. Very well, thank you.
And hello to all of our international listeners. We have listeners from around the world, I believe, all countries, Australia, Germany, the UK, Dan representing, and China, and of course, India. And the big news for the day, if you didn't know, is that India has decided they're going to be sending a rocket to the sun. They recently crashed one into the moon. So that's always good to see. But they've actually said they're coming out. They're going to send a rocket to explore the sun. We actually have some live footage of this. Let me see if I can pull it up on screen. Just hang on 1 second. I don't know if this is
breaking news and on music right now.
Yes. Sorry. I know. Sorry. I was a little bit unprepared. Yep. Here we go. Okay. Here is live footage. I got to cut.
I'm excited to see this.
There you go. It's just a fireball.
Oh.
That's exactly what happened. Imagine what I imagined to happen. Just a fireball floating through the sky.
To be fair to them, they did land on the moon.
Oh, they landed? Because I heard that crashed. Or was that?
No, the Russians crashed.
Oh, the Russians crashed. Sorry, I got my countries wrong. I'm sorry.
That video looks suspiciously not like a fireball.
Well, I'm just curious if they can get. My thing would be, I would be very impressed if they could actually get to the sun's surface and crash or land on the sun, even if it's just for a few seconds. That would be pretty.
Yes, it would be. I would love to see a photo of that.
Some serious heat shielding going on there. If they could actually get to the sun, and it doesn't turn into a molten ball of poo all the way out there. So it's if they can get there, that'd be kind of. I'd be pretty impressed by that.
I'm not joking.
Next trip for Jeff Bezos? Was that his next trip?
Let's send them all that way. I'm not joking when I say this, that the reason they're going there is to find out why it's hot. And that's actually basically
hot?
the description.
Oh,
I think we already figured
I think we already know. Yeah.
Well, the moon's made of cheese, right? Isn't that correct?
Yeah, well, there we go, right?
They should probably Google that. I'm just saying they should probably Google it.
Yeah, apparently that's happening in 2025. It's called the Aditya L1 mission.
Aditya's heading it up?
Apparently.
Yeah, probably.
Apparently.
Good friend of mine.
Yes.
He's going to do old guy jokes and medical services all the way to the
That will definitely get him there. Yep.
But yeah, a big week in tech this week, guys. Not just, people flying rockets into the sun. That's probably going to be Russia. But we've had a lot of stuff going on this week with Pixel. We'll talk all about the Pixel 8 leaks and a couple of things. And we also have, this small company called Apple with a massive event coming up next week. Apparently, they're releasing some new technology. I've never heard of them before. I just, thought it might be worth mentioning.
Could be good.
It could be good, yeah. A couple of changes to some of the design of the Apple and Pixel stuff coming out.
Yeah, Apple's a new startup, right? They just kind of got their first phone. That should be interesting, for sure. Yeah.
So I wanted to start things off with some of the tech laws that are happening over in the EU. And we know one of the ones that came out recently was about having replaceable batteries in cell phones by, I believe, 2027. Don't quote me on that. But right now, the European Union's confirmed that there is a Digital Markets Act, a DMA. And basically what this act, this was just earlier in the week, saying that what they call the 6 tech gatekeepers, which I love that term for the record. So those would be Alphabet, Amazon, Apple, ByteDance, Meta, and Microsoft off the top of my head.
ByteDance, huh?
I don't know what ByteDance is. I figured that's
TikTok.
some kind of.
They own TikTok?
Is it TikTok? Oh, maybe you're right. Yeah, sorry, I don't.
Yeah, I think they own TikTok.
TikTok. Tuna's the expert on TikTok, but we'll come back.
Right, of course. Yeah. The dances.
Tuna's got millions of followers on TikTok. Millions, I tell you. But no, anyway, so they were saying that, and I'll quote, that the DMA stipulates that gatekeepers can't favor their own services over rivals' offerings and can't keep users locked in to an ecosystem. They have to let third parties interpret. I can't even say that word. They have to let third parties. Yeah, sure. With their services in certain situations as well. So basically, this is a law which is basically saying these companies can't lock you into their services because you own a type of device. Case in point, Microsoft couldn't say you have to use OneDrive if you want cloud services
or Microsoft
offer
Edge.
that. or Edge
right.
or stuff like that. Yeah.
Right.
So it's an interesting kind of concept because obviously Apple being a part of that, and I think the big argument for a lot of Apple users would be, oh, it's the ecosystem. We can't escape the ecosystem. So do you think this law might actually start to change people's perspectives on and open it up a little bit more and introduce people to maybe other options? Or is this just going to fall on deaf ears? What do you reckon, Dan?
I think it's going to fall on deaf ears because technically iPhone is, or iOS, whatever you want, Apple, they are kind of a closed ecosystem. You don't have to use it. Same with Google.
Yeah.
Google's more open source per se.
Yes.
But they still come with all their services. But if you want to get rid of Chrome and change it out, I think it's probably easier on an Android. And I'm an Android user more than an iPhone user. But I would assume it's easier for me to do that on an Android device than it would be an iPhone. Because there are certain things you don't get by switching from Safari to Chrome.
No,
at least in my experience.
You got to remember with this, apparently it's meant to be with this coming release that Apple's opening up to third-party stores and sideloading.
Right.
Remember that was with iOS 17, right?
Yeah.
So I wonder if this is kind of their way of saying, hey, we knew this was coming. You want to load something on your iPhone, we're not responsible, but here you go, right? Like here's the keys to the kingdom. Like go and fucking put whatever the hell you want on there, right?
Right.
The EU just wants to level the playing field, right? They just want to have
sounds like
each system open to everything.
Yes.
Where does the competition come in?
Well, that's an interesting question, right? So, I mean, I understand that people get locked into certain things that they like, right? Like, for example, there's lots of people who would only use iMessage and fuck every other message service that there is. But I don't know. It's an interesting thing. Like, where is the competition going to be? And is that just going to take away this concept of companies trying to monopolize on their consumer and say, hey, we want you to be a part of here and be part of this system and not just have a free-for-all device. Like I'll get, like, for example, Android users can install any app they want. We know this. And so can Apple users, I guess, to a certain extent. But there were always certain apps that you had to kind of be a part of. But does this mean that smartphones are just going to be a mishmash of different major companies' apps? Is that what we're looking at? Like, is the iPhone users going to magically start using Edge on their Apple device instead of Safari? Is that going to happen?
Well, with things
Probably
like we had that issue with Fortnite before, didn't we, with Epic and Apple and the big clash that they had. And I would imagine that the EU rules would effectively mean that Apple can't stop them having a store on there.
Yes.
And it would stop Apple taking a cut, potentially. I would imagine.
Yeah,
so
I think
if that's the sort of thing that they're going for, I mean, if we can bring back Windows Phone and then have all the apps available, I mean, let's go for it. But
you've been riding that train for a while. I think it's gonna happen.
Yeah, I would be a fan. I've talked to a lot of end users in my my line of work, and they kind of go with what they're familiar with. So I mean, I know it's nice to have the availability, but I don't think when you talk to somebody who uses Apple products and have an iMac and all this kind of stuff, I don't think it's all of, well, I'd like to get out of here, but I'm really just hamstrung. I think it's more of now they know it works. It's just it's muscle memory or it's conditioned response, right? And you might have a few people that want to maybe use Run Drive instead of Apple services or whatever, or leverage an app off of the whatever Amazon's app store, right, or something like that. But at the end of the day, most people are probably going to stick with what they know because it's familiar to them. It's they trust it as far as deliverable. And there may be people that kind of peel off a little bit. But I think part of the reason why Apple's okay with it, just because I realize I don't think at the end of the day their end users, they have such a conditioned response to using Apple services now, and because of the availability of third party, does that make the experience better? Does the integration still make it worth the jump? And I don't think it's going to. I'm not, it's because it won't be optimized for their software. Apple's not going to give them iOS's code base to make it optimized. So the only way I would jump is if if the Apple service was not as good as the the other service, right? If it was more convenient, more functional, more easy to use, less resource heavy, then maybe I could do it. But I don't think that's going to happen.
I think on the iPhone as well, with things like the keyboard, where you use a third-party keyboard, use a third-party keyboard, and then as soon as you have to do something that's something more official, it's like, you've got to use the Apple keyboard for this. And you're like, well, I may as well just use the Apple keyboard for everything then. Maybe they'll have to. Maybe they'll just have to allow third-party keyboards to work with everything. The browsers will all work the same.
See, that would be interesting.
That would be good.
Yeah,
for
I can
iPhone.
see that being a positive.
But with Android, everything's open on Android anyway. So Android, I don't feel like there's going to be an effect, really.
And I think that's the issue. Like for me, I'm mainly an Android guy. So when I have an iPhone, I get rid of all the Apple stuff and I put in YouTube Music, Chrome, Google Photos. And sometimes there's some issues there. But I think an Apple user, they don't do that. And that's why they don't go to Android, because they can't use Apple, some of those Apple apps. So I don't.
Well,
I'm with Sam here. The general user is not going to get. I mean, I think eventually, maybe over next few years, if this does come to fruition, people may dabble like us, people like us, but I don't know if the general consumer really cares.
I mean, it's kind of like Apple Mail. So, like, the average non-tech consumer probably goes, got a new iPhone. I have to get my Gmail working, so I'm just going to use the Apple Mail app, right? They don't download Gmail from the App Store. They just go, fuck it. Apple's got their
Gmail.
Me too.
Yeah, so do I, right? Everybody, I would think everybody should, but I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean that it works better. And, the kicker is, if you remember with the Apple Watch can receive Gmail notifications and you can delete them, but you can't respond to them. You have to have the Apple Mail app in order for you to respond on the watch to an email. And that's the kind of shit that I think
that'll open up.
And that's what I'm talking about. It's those minute things that Apple doesn't tell you that it's not going to work right, and it makes everyone think, these Android apps are junk.
Yeah,
and so we're clear. I'm the one lone person. I basically connect everything to Outlook. So
I'm kind of the same. To be fair.
I don't download Gmail, and it's not because I don't prefer Gmail. I'm just used to the Outlook interface. I'm just used to using that. So
and for work,
Gmail, my Outlook, my AT&T email, right? It's all connected.
It's all coming
through Outlook. Yeah, I just map it to that. Yeah.
Is that from your Duo days? Is that why you kind of use Outlook?
No, that's from honestly, you know what it's from? It's actually from my Windows Phone days.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. Same for me.
Yeah.
Same for me.
And also too, just at work. I mean, I use Outlook at work. I mean, I don't use Gmail at work and that kind of thing.
I use both apps. I tend to use Outlook and Gmail just to keep certain things just completely separate. And have notifications for certain things. But like my personal accounts,
the Hotmail app.
Yeah, my actual main account is a Hotmail account. Like, it's literally a Hotmail account.
And that crazy?
I still use that. That's my main account. Like, I've used.
Now, let me ask you something, Dan. Is that your only and first Hotmail account, or did you sign up for one when you were like a teenager?
That is my teenager account. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Really?
Okay, so I was going to ask you guys. When I was a teenager, like, people didn't use their names for their Gmail account. That just wasn't done.
No.
Did Tuna? You had a Hotmail account, I'm assuming, when you were a couple of years younger?
I'm a teenager, but yeah, of course. Yeah. Right.
What do you remember what it was?
Oh my god, I have no idea. I know it was like
no,
it was something fun.
I say it, but it's my actual email account, so I'm not going to say it.
Oh, okay, probably not a good idea.
Yeah,
might get a bit of spam there.
I have the same. It's always different domains, but the beginning is always the same. It's for every account I've ever had.
Well, then I went to school, and they gave me a certain email address with a number attached to the end of it, so you know what number your last name is at this college. And I kind of transferred that into Gmail. So I have I have a couple email addresses, one from my YouTube channel. So I've got kind of split. But my original email, that's
the only reason I use Gmail is because of Android and YouTube, like YouTube and. Yeah.
I forgot. That actually when I went to Webster University, they gave me an email address that I couldn't change. It was like my S and then my last name and then a number. And then the funny thing is, I graduated. So the funny thing is, I'm alumni, and they take it away from you if you don't go to school.
Wow.
They decom.
Now mine didn't.
Like, why can't
Thanks
I
for the money? Fuck you.
Yeah, I can't. I mean, I was like, Webster.edu. I got an email that said once I graduated, even if I graduated, even as an alumni, the only way I could have an active email account with the school is if I was actually a student there. So I could go to grad school there, which I'm not going to do. And I thought it was interesting because I figured if I graduated, I would get, just keep the email domain and they could, use it. But nope, they were like, no. They were like, no, it's okay. We're good. Yeah, it's okay. I didn't remember. It's okay. The bank paid them. I didn't. I went to school for free. The bank
nice.
Paid all.
Yeah, fair, perfect.
I just took the long way.
That's how it is in Australia, actually.
I just waited to get until I was like my 40s to get my bachelor's degree. I just had the bank pay for it all. Whatever.
Nice. Well, I'll tell you a true funny story. Two stories. So my first Gmail account I signed up for when I was 16, and the trend was not to use your name. So I went with I obviously thought very highly of myself when I was 16 years old. My Hotmail account was hotstuff16@hotmail.com, which was did not get me the ladies, to say the least.
I would have thought like fucking duck 25 or something like that.
Yeah, no, but it didn't help me with my game, to say the least.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. I kind of wish I'd hung on to it just because it would be a legacy account and it'd be hilarious for my work email to be hotstuff16@hotmail.com there. But
I wish I remembered mine.
Oh, I'm sure it'll come to you. Don't worry. Throughout the day. But I wonder if there's anyone out there that has that. I always think about that because you know how they open up that.
Send an email, find out.
We should invite him on the podcast. That would be hilarious. Whoever responds to it on the other end, whoever's got hot stuff 16 right now. Interesting.
That might be inappropriate, though. We may not want to invite that person either.
It's probably Roddy. It's Roddy's
OnlyFans
email account. There you go. I knew that was going to happen. Okay, so just an interesting kind of concept. And I think what's interesting about that EU law there when it comes to Apple in particular is, I know we talked about the keyboard, I know we talked about the email and stuff, but does anybody actually do that currently on an iPhone? Like, do they not use the Safari browser and instantly install? Because I would argue nobody does that. Oh, you do, Tuna? Now, what do you install instead then, Tuna?
What do you mean? For what?
So, what do you replace on the stock stuff? Like, do you get rid of Safari, which is like the browser?
I actually uninstall Safari, Market, Note, all that stuff because I don't use that stuff on an iPhone. I put Chrome, I put Gmail, I put Google Calendar.
So you're basically using a Google phone.
But you can't. But the only thing that makes me mad is this has been going on for years. You can't arrange the icons the way you want on an iPhone. And it drives me insane. That's the only thing. You
think they might unlock that with this coming release? If they're going,
I don't know if they do that. At some point, it's not going to be Apple anymore.
Yeah. You reckon that's going to be a legacy thing?
Well, and there has to be some differentiation with it. And if it was enough of a problem for the installed Apple user base, right? They would clamor for that. They would really be upset about it. But they don't really seem to be that upset about. Well, I don't think they don't care. I don't think they don't know it's not a thing because they don't really care. It's like I don't really care if the apps.
It's not something that enters the mind. It's just,
I don't think if they don't care. I just don't think they don't think about it just because it's like why bother? Well,
they've never done it.
Who cares if you can arrange your own?
And
icon?
users aren't clamoring for it.
Yeah, they're not. Again, I think that's because when Apple has listened to their user, they have installed brought features that have made it more in alignment with what I guess other smartphone OEMs do, right? But I don't know. I think that total homogenization of the way phones work, I think it's kind of pointless. I think that I wouldn't want to see Windows Phone act more like Android or more like. I like the fact that it was completely unique and did things differently with the tiles and with just the you swipe to the right and you get an app tray or app list, right? That's all you get, and then the integrations. I don't know. I wouldn't want it to be one for one because then what's the fun in having a device, right? What's the
and that's why I think
as
an Android user, I like to swipe it up to my drawer. That's because I'm an Android user by my main phone. So when I go to iPhone, of course I'm not going to like it because it doesn't have that. But if they made it the same, you're right. You said what's the point? What's an Apple and Android? It's basically the same thing.
There has to be some kind. I just don't think that.
I don't think that's going to be a part of it. But.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of Apple, they apparently have something big happening next week. I think it's the 12th. Oh, is it the 12th of September? I don't know. I'm going to say yes. The 12th of September, sure. So they have a big event coming out, the latest round of iPhones, potentially Apple Watches, potentially some AirPods, MacBooks. Definitely some software tweaks and whatnot. So
Apple X,
Apple
Watch X. So what are they calling?
Yeah,
the Apple. Whatever.
I think that's going to be the one more thing. You know how they always do the here's our surprise thing? I reckon they're going to announce the 10th anniversary edition of the Apple Watch. I think it's going to pretty much look the same. I don't think it's going to be anything different. Maybe a fancy, I don't know, champagne color. Or
it'll be new
like
and
that.
Revolutionary with all these internals and these big words. Of course, it's going to be a big deal.
So I think with the 10th anniversary edition, they might finally transition into sapphire lenses with all of their watches. That's my theory. So that's their, they'll get rid of that stupid Ionic X glass or whatever the fuck that shit is, and that scratches when you brush it against your finger. I wonder if that's that's going to be the big surprise, because I don't imagine that there's going to be anything we don't already know, but there is rumors and talk of the watches changing up a little bit this year. Largely the sensors being used on the Apple Watch, obviously a bit more advanced, whatever. Maybe the Apple Watch Ultra having a new color, like a darker black or gray. But the Apple Watch, the traditional Apple Watch, hasn't really been talked about all that much. So I wonder if that's going to be a little bit of a surprise. Hey, by the way, I don't think they're going to call it the Apple Watch X. Do you guys? Is that monicum gone?
Yeah.
It may not even come to fruition, to be honest.
I don't know. It's interesting. I don't know. I guess with all the big releases, that obviously that for the season is going to be the iPhone. Now, we were talking just off air before we started the show. Are they going to go Ultra? Is it going to be goodbye Pro Max, iPhone Ultra, iPhone Pro, and iPhone? Tuna, you're shaking your head, buddy.
I hope I'm right, because I don't need 2 Ultra phones. We've got Samsung Ultra. We've got doesn't Xiaomi have a 13 Ultra or something?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think the Ultra's done, and
Ultra's
Apple
the
knows that.
word.
It is.
Not that Max is a big word, but they're going to go with something that's a little different. I would say they're going to go with something a little more unique. I don't know what that word would be.
What's better than Ultra? Maximilian.
Turbo.
I know.
Turbo. The best thing ever.
I can't. Apple Turbo.
Apple, can you imagine? Oh, my goodness. That's the name of their car that they were building like a couple of years back. The Apple Turbo. Yeah. I wonder if they'll go. The only reason I wonder if they'll use the Ultra terminology is because with that alleged titanium version of the iPhone, and having the Apple Watch with the same build and it being a kind of a premium thing, different than the rest, could we potentially get an iPhone Ultra, an iPhone Pro Max, an iPhone Pro?
A quick type in the thesaurus, an Ultra comes up with all out, fanatical, drastic, excessive.
The iPhone
extreme,
drastic. Oh my god!
The extreme.
I would love that.
Maybe.
That was. I think that's a bit too much.
Extreme.
Yeah.
Extreme. That's too much. That's not cool.
Oh my god! I almost feel like we should petition that. Introduce
the ultimate
iPhone. The ultimate would
ultimate?
Be. Yeah, that's not bad actually, and that would indicate that it's better than everything else because it's the best of the best, right?
It's already,
and that's what Apple is.
It's got the Apple logo on it.
Yeah.
Right, but we already know that Apple's the best. So
yeah,
why
of
not
course.
just put it on their
Yeah,
device?
exactly. Let's just bite the bullet. They've already fucking taken the market share. It's done.
I think the only reason they would sort of change the name is because the Pro and the Pro Max, as it would be, are going to be a bit different this time around with the changes, apparent changes with the telephoto and stuff. So I don't know. We'll see if.
Can you let's be honest? They could call it the Apple Cake, and people are going to buy it. It doesn't matter what it's called. I mean, the iPhone 15,
the legacy edition.
Someone's going to buy it.
Deluxe. I guess deluxe would be a good.
I would like to. The deluxe, yeah.
Quarter pounder.
Now, Dan brings up a good point because there is rumors that whatever the Pro Max is called and the Pro are going to have a different setup. Now, do you remember a couple of years ago when they used to do that? I think it might have been the iPhone 11 series, maybe off the top of my head. They used to have a slightly different configuration, right? Now, are they going to go back? Yeah, like the Pixel does. But are they going to go back to that? Because remember, the Apple fans were in uproar because they didn't like that idea that they were getting a lesser Pro.
Yeah, it was a slightly
makes them more money. They will
slightly better sensor on the main camera. I think on the Max. Yeah,
and then they did it
even
on
this year though.
12 too, right?
But the 14 Pro and the 14 Pro Max had a slightly different something with the I remember them saying it was something with the optical image stabilization. They something was, it was not much, but there was a slight difference.
A little slight difference, yeah.
But I think if it makes them more money to do that, why wouldn't they? They're at the end of the day, these are all businesses. They want to make money.
Was it the SoCs this time round? Was it the 14's got last year's chip in it or something?
That was with the regular iPhone, yes.
Yes. And the Pros have got the newer one as well, yeah.
And the Plus.
Yeah, the normal and the Plus have got like last year's
which people were not happy about.
No, they
remember that they were in a fucking pissy about that. Because, I mean, again, you were paying, I think they were a little bit more expensive than this past year too, right? So I think it wasn't like $50 or something. But if you're paying a little bit more, then why aren't we getting the same chip, right? And rightly so. I mean, I know there's rumors that the regular iPhone 15 are going to be still stuck at that, 60 hertz,
they will
28 base configuration.
They got to separate them somehow.
Again, they do. And again, I think Sam said this before. I don't think the regular iPhone user gives a fuck about refresh rates.
They just want an iPhone. They just want an iPhone and that's it.
They want them to be colorful, pretty, and work well. Right?
That's the people that do want or know about high refresh rate will just get a Pro. That's what they'll just do.
Yeah. It's kind of funny. Like, do you think Apple will ever change over the base model to a higher refresh rate, or they're just going to leave? I think they might actually just leave it as is.
I think as time goes on and refresh rates become second nature, maybe 90 hertz or 120
once they
will
don't
be the
cost
base.
any extra.
Yeah, we'll be at 400 hertz or something. Who knows?
Yeah.
I'm just I think at that point maybe, but whatever.
Is there any? I haven't been following much about the regular iPhone series there, but is there any talk, or are they keeping the Plus, like the regular Plus version? Because I know that didn't sell well as well as they thought it was going to.
Well, there's rumors that SE Gen 4 will be released this year too. Another SE version, and it'll have it won't have the finger. What is it called? Touch whatever.
Oh, so you're going to use.
But it's going to have
it's going to be based on an iPhone 11, basically.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So you'll have Face ID for the first time on the SE, and the fingerprint reader will be gone.
Now at let's say that clocks in at $399 or $299 even.
I think I'd go for that.
Yeah,
I'd go.
It won't be $299. There's no way in hell it'll be. At least not right off the rip. I think it'll be carrier.
$449, $499, something like that.
Yeah, $499 or $450. But see, they got to compete with the Pixel A series, and that's about the price of the Pixel A series, isn't it?
Yes.
$499.
Yeah.
I can see them going in, around about that price too. I mean, I think with the SE's been always received quite well, apart from I think the last generation, which was a bit, I guess, old-fashioned and design-wise. But I don't know. It would be interesting to see if they sold an iPhone 11 body with a, iPhone 15 chipset. And maybe the iPhone, 13 cameras, and they just mishmashed it all together. I wonder if that would be an appealing proposition.
It would be. I'd take it.
Well, that's it, right? And I mean, if the prices are going up like they're expecting it to, because they're saying that the Pro Max and the Pro are looking at about $100 to $150 increase in price. That's huge.
Yeah, and $399 is a cheap price to pay to get into the ecosystem. Once they get you in, you start paying for services to get the watch, you get the MacBook, you get the tablet,
Apple
and
Music.
It'll work just as fine. I mean, it'll work just as well as any other iPhone.
Right. Well, no, I'm not saying it won't. I'm just saying they'll sell a cheaper phone with cheaper internals and won't make much money off it. They'll make money, but they get all the returns on the services you sign up for.
Well, I mean, what we know so far is that they're going to be lighter. They're going to weigh less, which is a good thing because the iPhone 14 Pro Max is a fucking brick. Actually, let me rephrase that. The Pixel Fold is a fucking brick compared to the iPhone 14 Pro Max, but the iPhone 14 Pro Max used to hold the record for probably the heaviest, maybe even the most uncomfortable phone.
Yeah, but I can hold the fold comfortably and be okay. But that 14 Pro Max hurt my hand. Like, I don't know what it was about that damn phone.
Yeah, it was the flat, like squared off edges. Like it was just, it just didn't have very good ergonomics. But we know that it's going to be lighter. That's basically, I think, a big thing this year. I don't know why. They're sticking with sizing being the same, like the Night Series 10 or whatever the regular Apple Watch is going to be. It's going to be 44 and 45 millimeter, but apparently more eco-friendly. I don't know what that means.
Ooh, more whales will be saved. Nice. All right.
Well, all that clean energy charging they've been doing, they must have saved like fucking half the environment. So, they've probably got some bamboo trees they can cut down now and it'll be okay.
Whoa, bamboo.
We're close to saving the planet now.
That's it. We're almost there. I mean, half the world's got iPhones, so shit, if we're all clean energy charging. But you know what's funny? That never came to the Canadian version of the iPhone. It's only an American thing, I believe.
So what's the opposite of clean energy? Dirty energy charging? I mean,
we just use coal over here in Canada.
Coal
we never got there, right? It's just all coal energy. Everyone's got the black lung.
This is cleaner coal.
It is true,
China or Germany.
Yeah, it's true.
Wow.
This is true. I mean, we still have steam-powered cars too, so it's like you got to crank it up. Put the kettle on. Besides that, I mean, that doesn't really look like there's going to be that much more in the way of changes apart from USB-C, which I'm going to be honest with you. I got to fucking see it to believe it. I said on this podcast a number of times, I would not be surprised if Apple went fucking portless before they went USB-C.
It's
and
USB-C.
You just had to use MagSafe.
It will.
Yeah.
I'm more excited to see
they're
what
already.
restrictions.
Sorry.
No, I'm more excited to see what kind of restrictions they're going to put on this charging.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Honestly, I would not put it past them to say if you don't use our, I guess it'd be an EU issue because EU would rip them apart for this, but you have to use our cable. If you use a cheap one, it won't charge. That would be hilarious. So now I know they're going to be slower rates. There's going to be slower charging rates. They're saying with the cheaper ones.
Well, hang on a second. So Apple analyst Ming-Chi Kuo.
Oh yeah, my best friend, right?
This Apple leaker, that guy. He says here in this article I'm reading that only the 2 Pro models will support USB 3.2 for high-speed wired connections, while the standard models will only have the USB 2.0. So basically. Yeah, so
video out
models.
Am I hearing video out?
I doubt that. Fuck, I doubt that completely. No way that's gonna happen.
Apple Dex mode? Wow, that would be.
I mean, you can do video on an iPhone.
Yeah, you can, but it's
with gaming and stuff. For gaming, you can stream with it and stuff. It's
not in the traditional sense. But he's saying here that basically it looks as though the Pro models will have the faster 35-watt charging speeds, but you would need a proprietary Apple-made adapter to get those rates. And I think
only £50, $50, whatever.
Yeah, it'll be an extra $50-$60 for the brick. Which is, and again, this is
fee.
Yeah. Imagine that.
Fee to get faster charging.
Yeah, $3.99 a month and you get fast charging at 35
And you
watts.
save 2 more whales a year. See, I think it worked out really good.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you still can't beat them for the customer service. Though. I mean, we bought a USB-C cable, like one of their like £20 cables, for my other half's brother who's autistic, and he absolutely destroys cables. Like he goes through them like nobody I know, and he broke it after it's been about 2.5 months.
Okay,
and we took it back, and they were just like, "Yeah, we'll swap it. It's fine. It's in warranty. We'll just swap it out."
What you can do is what we do.
Nowhere else would do that. There's nowhere else that would do that sort of thing.
Nope. Walmart does.
Yeah, but we don't have those.
I know. Well,
there's no.
I'm saying
England doesn't have them.
So what's your version of Walmart over there?
So they don't.
No, you don't know.
Okay. Nothing really.
Okay, I don't know. I just asked.
They just go.
We just have supermarkets. We just have big supermarkets that just.
True fun fact, in Australia, they're not allowed to use the term Walmart because of some kind of licensing issue. What do they call Walmart in Australia? Let's have a guess here.
They call it Macca's.
No, not Macca's. That's McDonald's.
I know.
What do they call Walmart in Australia? But they're not allowed to use Walmart.
Probably
Walls.
Walls
They call
or
it
something
Walls,
like that.
right?
Walls or something like
No
that.
Walls. Good guess,
No?
though. Good guess. It's even more ridiculous than that. Tuna?
All I'm thinking
Just
is Dingo
Mars.
ate my baby.
No. They actually call it,
Marty's.
and you can, people that are watching this, please go and check this out. It's called the Big W.
No.
Now,
Is
Yeah,
that
yeah,
official?
yeah.
No, is that
Before.
official or is that just something? you
That
guys
no,
say?
legitimately, that is in Australia. Walmart can't be branded Walmart. It's actually just called Big W, and it has. I can show
I
you
have
the
heard
logo.
of that
I will
before,
show
to be
you.
fair.
Dude,
Yep.
I actually would prefer to shop at Big W than
Yeah.
Walmart.
Big W, the big win.
Oh God, yeah.
The big win.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. As
This
opposed
is,
to the big L.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
No, but legitimately, I'll pull up a
but
picture.
my
This is
wife,
what-
we buy Apple cables, and then they always ask you for a protection plan. So
Oh
it's like
yeah.
$8, and then if in case
What
it
the-
gets smoked, you can just take it back within the first 2 years, and you file a claim, and you can get a new Apple cable for 2 years.
Yeah,
Yeah, Big
but that's
W.
You know,
again.
Darren-
Oh, they did see
Yeah.
they did use "we sell for less." They did use the
Yes.
tagline though.
Yep.
So Big
That's an
W.
old version. I don't think they use that anymore in the United
No,
States.
yeah, but
No,
that's the.
But that's what they
Yeah.
used to say with Walmart back in the day when I
Yeah.
was a kid in the 80s and
Now,
stuff. It was "we
Sam,
sell for
do you
less."
know? Have you been to Kmart before? Because it used to be called Big K.
Oh yeah, Big
Yeah,
K.
yeah, that's
Actually,
true,
yeah.
yeah. We
And
have
then
Kmart.
yeah, the
Kmart's
blue light
gone
special,
now,
man.
but
Dude, the
Yeah.
blue light special, man. That was the
Heck
jam
yeah.
back in the day.
Yeah,
Heck
back
yeah.
in the
They, had
day.
they would put a
Apparently,
little blue light, a siren light at the aisle,
Yes,
and that
I
was
remember.
where the
Yeah.
big savings were. Right, that was like a flash mob. It
we
was
had a
kinda cool, man.
Kmart up till about 5 years ago across the street from my house, and it
Yeah,
was
but we
terrible
had one
because at that point they weren't updating anything, and everything was from straight out of 1990, like all the inside decorations. But they had stuff so cheap because they were going out. Well, they eventually went out of business, but yeah.
Yeah, we still got Target, so that's fine as long as we got the Target.
Target.
Yeah,
Yeah, alright.
Target didn't last here in Canada. They opened up Target chain to replace another chain that was very popular here in Canada at the time. It lasted about 2 months. But then people realized, like we were thinking here in Canada when they opened up Target that it would be like American prices, like that you guys tend to have things a little cheaper.
Oh,
Nope.
yeah.
And they weren't. They were, in fact, pretty much the same as everywhere else. And when it's just the same, it's just another store, right? So what's
So
the
is
point?
big is it called Big T in Australia?
It's Big T. No, Target's called
T.
Target. Kmart's called Kmart. We have all those lovely ones. But the Big W, which I think is slightly hilarious now in
You
hindsight.
learn something new every day. You need
There
that
you go,
reminder.
right?
The more you know.
Walmart owns a stake in Asda here, so that's probably about as close as
Asda.
Yeah.
Asda. Oh, I like
Asda.
that.
I'm not, okay.
It's,
Yeah, yeah.
it's
one of the supermarket
okay.
chains.
Oh, okay.
Speaking
You probably know
of
Tesco. Tesco's probably
Oh,
the one
Tesco.
that's
We do. I
well
know
known, but-
Tesco.
Yeah.
Speaking of amazing big wins, let's talk about the least best kept secret of all time, probably on purpose, and that is
Roddy's OnlyFans page.
Yes,
Oh.
we have it.
Where
we have
Jimmy?
a
Where were
little-
or is Jimmy Hoffa buried? Is that the best?
Yes, yeah, there's that
Ooh,
too.
There you go.
I actually have a photo of Roddy's OnlyFans page. He just posted this actually a few hours ago on his Instagram. So here is a picture of Roddy.
Breaking news. Hot
yeah.
take.
So this is Instagram. Roddy is currently on vacation. That's why he's not here with us today. But here is a
No
vacation
news
snap
today.
of Roddy.
Oh, yeah.
Very nice.
Just hanging out with some
Most
lovely
very nice.
ladies.
For swimming suits. Very nice.
Roddy is very. You can see Roddy's masculinity there. He's got a very hairy chest.
He grew
That's a
that
very good
tash
sign.
very quickly over from last
He-
week.
He did.
He's very
Yeah.
virile. He's kind of like Michael Pepper. Michael Pepper grows a mustache and a beard better than anyone else that we know.
He's
but
comfortable
yeah,
on ladies. That's nice. I mean, the banana
It's-
hammock is
exactly.
definitely interesting looking. But
yes,
whatever.
and Roddy fills it out
Comfortable.
better than most. So let's move on to the worst kept secret of all time. Google has officially leaked their own devices, which I find hilarious.
What?
So
have to have
earlier
pictures of
this
this.
week, well, you know what it is, right? It's that
No.
something Pixel, something like that. I don't know. I can forget how to say it. But
Picture, what's that?
I love this story because every year we have a Google Pixel leak right before launch. This year they accidentally posted up completely detailed 3D renders with labels on their website that promptly got taken down 5 hours later when everyone had managed to screenshot it. And basically, we know pretty much everything there is to know about the hardware of the upcoming Pixels. Now, I'll just pull up a little video here just so you for everyone at home.
You have a video too? Man, you are a leaker. How'd you get all this?
I know, right? Let me pull this up. So, sorry, it's got closed captioning on, which is not ideal. So here is the official video that Google leaked just a couple of days ago of the Pixel 8 and 8 Pro series. So it looking pretty similar to what we know all the leaks have been. So similar design language. It looks as though it could have a flat screen, which is amazing.
It's flat.
Colors wise, look very similar. I think they're bringing back that classic pixel blue.
That's the whole video. I want more.
That's it. That's all you get from Google. Yeah, coming soon.
Now,
I actually think they leaked.
This got leaked before Apple's event.
This did get leaked before Apple's event.
That's a weird coincidence. I don't know why.
Oh yeah, who would think that we have the world's biggest smartphone company come out and say, "Hey, we've got an event on Wednesday or Tuesday."
And I bet every Apple user saying, "Oh, forget the Apple event. We're waiting."
So many people going to buy Pixels now.
Yeah, that's it.
Definitely.
Yeah, they beat him to the punch. That's the thing, right? Now, I love that. One of the things I love, and I mentioned, is that Google's bringing back the Pixel blue color. Now, the blue color is that a throwback to, I think it might have been the very first Pixel. I think the Pixel original one, the OG Pixel.
It was a dark blue, that one, when it was really nice, really deep blue. But this one's more like what?
Sierra blue?
The 3? Was it the 3 maybe? The 3?
Yeah, so I'll pull up a picture. Here's an alleged leak video, I think, of the blue.
They need to get some better leak protection,
so this is the
safety first.
This is the blue that allegedly
I like that a lot.
That's not the same
that
blue.
a lot.
I like it too.
Yeah.
I think it's different. It's
the
original.
same
It's
blue.
different than the first. It's different than the first, definitely.
Yeah, and I mean, I think with a lot of this stuff, a lot of these images that you can of these leaked pixels, I think it's an interesting proposition. I think that the changes that they're making with this 8 series, potentially having a flatter screen, a little bit more uniformity with the camera bump, with all the cameras being inside the cutout, I guess you could call it. It's interesting. I mean, we don't know anything else about it. We know another chip. We know it's different. New colors, all that fancy stuff. And I think it remains.
Yeah, but the hardware was never the problem with the last one.
It wasn't.
More the processor and the
and I think that's why. Well, I think that's why Google said, you know what, fuck it, let's just show them. Because at the end of the day, you're right. That doesn't make any difference to what the Pixel is eventually going to be, right? I mean, the hardware was always good on the 7. It was even good on the 6. But now we have an interesting situation where when you see this leak, it actually confirms something else that Google had rumored to have on there, which was in this bottom right corner below the flash, it's believed that that's a temperature sensor.
Who cares?
Now, that's what it brings me to my point. Why is there a temperature sensor on the Google phone? Well, that's what I'm wondering. So,
I mean, COVID, maybe? I don't know.
I don't think it's got anything to do with health. I think it might be something to do with AI camera. I wonder if you're going to be able to, or if it's going to be gauging the
heat signatures.
Yeah, the heat signatures or the temperature of the shot environment, and
that's what I was thinking, more like a color spectrum sort of sense.
Yeah,
come on, guys. This is Google. That is not what that's going to be.
Well, it could be.
Look at Soli. It was supposed to be this revolutionary radar thing, and it was like
back to Soli.
Screen.
Take that back.
Yeah.
I didn't say it was cool, but it didn't do anything, and they dropped it. This is something that they threw in there to differentiate themselves, and it's going to be trashed in the next one. That's my opinion. I could be
out.
I guess we'll find out. Yeah. I mean, I don't ever see myself touching the fucking camera bar and going, "Oh yeah, I'm pretty hot today." I mean, I don't.
Hey, Samsung,
I feel that
Samsung
way
used to
every
have
day.
those health readers in there, didn't they?
They did, but why bring it back? There's got to be a reason, right? So I mean, I don't know. I would like to hope it's got something to, like Dan said, with like heat signatures, color spectrum, something like that. But I actually, probably more likely it's just a temperature sensor.
Did you guys ever see those commercials for Dell back in maybe the early 2000s? That guy was always like, "Dude, you're getting a Dell." Do you guys remember those commercials?
Maybe.
Maybe Sam does, but maybe it wasn't something. Maybe it was a U.S. thing. But that's the marketing that Google needs to do. You know, hey, dude, you're getting a Pixel. You know, something like that. It's
you're saying they need to cool it up.
For me, that blue needs to be a lot darker. It needs to be closer to the really blue from the Pixel.
I'd like a dark blue.
You want the original?
Give us the vivid colors.
I want really. I want
all the iPhone colors are really plain as well. Like
Honestly,
they're really sort of like.
I think Sam wants this one. Hang on a second. Let's see if I can pull this up. There we go.
I mean, you've got the darker color on the iPhone, I suppose. But
I want the darker
purple.
blue. Actually, you know, what I was thinking about is
it's not bright.
a color that I've never seen on a phone is like a wine or like a Merlot kind of color, like a
yes. And there was a rumor for the iPhone to
like
be
a wine red.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a wine kind of red, not totally dark, not like a real dark
didn't
red.
Huawei
But
do
like
one with like a Mate 10 or something? I can't remember
Was
anymore.
it the S22 Ultra
may.
had the
I
burgundy
don't know.
color?
I'll tell you one thing they did. The one that I really liked with Huawei was that pearl, like that pearl back. It was like looked like it was it looked textured, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
It was like they took pearls and they kind of like had a pearl back.
Yes.
That looked pretty slick.
Do you remember the Nexus 4 or the Nexus 3? They had the glass back and it had wireless charging, but it had like a holographic underneath the glass. Do you remember that one?
Yeah.
It had the puck for the wireless. That's the one I like.
Yeah,
different.
That I would like darker than that. Like almost like if you look up like the color of Merlot, like you can just look a color sample of Merlot, like a darker red, almost like a darker than burgundy, but not totally like wine red. I can't describe it other than.
I'm curious. I just typed in Merlot phone to see what would come up.
But you could call it Merlot, and that would be a very popular color for sure.
Well,
It's unique.
This was a offering from Samsung.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
Dan,
closer,
is there a
but
red
darker
tea? Like a Merlot color tea?
Merlot. Well, I mean, the color of Merlot is always interesting because it changes. It's not always the same color, right? I mean, Merlot traditionally is this, right? It looks like blood, essentially. So, I mean, if we're gonna get,
stains look like though.
Yeah,
if you go, like do it like a Merlot color, like on a color scale, it would be closer to like if you were on like a hex scale, it'd be closer to like something to the it'd be something like a really dark kind of color palette.
So that's the official Merlot hex code.
Yeah,
right there.
that'd be nice.
Which would be interesting.
Mine would be I guess mine would I would go darker.
I think you're more this Sam, this spectrum right here. Hang on.
Greens and blues for me.
on that half right side, something like that.
Yeah.
Yep. I think that would be kind of interesting color.
I thought they were going to go for the red iPhone. I thought that was a done deal. I thought this was definitely going to be the go this year.
But isn't the red like their red?
Well, that's I think why they didn't, right? Because it's that product red line. It kind of
product red.
That,
I think they got rid of the product red this year, though. Right?
Yeah,
they did.
I think they did too.
Yeah, it's all right. That's been,
like I said, I had a
product
red 8 plus.
Maybe this will be a surprise.
Age has been solved.
A red Pro.
Yes, that's why we don't have product red anymore. Everything's been all the health problems.
Apple are sorting everything out.
That's it. They got everything going on. Now, the other interesting leak that we had was the Pixel Watch 2, which just came out today, if I remember right. So, alleged Pixel 2 design looks very similar. Size. A little fatter, maybe? Definitely
maybe a little fatter. Yeah.
Needs that battery life.
Hang on, let's look right here.
But here's the problem. Wasn't the biggest complaint battery and screen size? Because it was a pretty small. You think they're going to have 2 options in sizes?
Now, that's a good question. I don't think so. I think they're going with 41 millimeter.
It'd cost too much money to make 2 different sizes if they're not going to sell a whole... Oh, look at that sensor. That's totally different.
So I just wanted to just pause here on the sensor because it's believed that they're bringing in some of the Fitbit integration sensors. So I think temperature sensors and all those other fancy things that Fitbit has into the design. But is it my imagination or does this not look fatter as
It
in
does.
bigger battery.
But remember last year when they had the renders and the screen looked bigger than it really was?
Yeah, true. Yeah. I think if they've shrunk the bezels and it's got a bigger battery, I'm good.
I think so too.
Yeah.
If the bezels were a little smaller and the battery was bigger, I don't care about the size that much. But I'm not a big guy and my arms aren't like super big, so it didn't really affect me.
You told me you were jacked.
I am, but
you only
see my neck. Jack.
Yeah, from the neck down, I'm Jack. Right.
That's Tuna's actual name is Jack.
It's Jack.
Right. Sorry, I mistook that.
That's my TikTok.
I mean, yes, his TikTok username Jacked. Yes. Yeah. It's funny because I thought it was Jack off, but okay. Anyway, but in the renders of the Pixel Watch 2 here, so it's interesting. We're getting a little bit of conflicting information now. Now, if we pull up the Pixel 8 photo that we looked at from last week, that happened to look like Dalvon. The watch looked different. Now I'm going to see if I can find that photo. Hang on. Just do a bit of side by side here. Anyone's got that photo and wants to share it to the screen, please help me out because I'm struggling right here.
What are you looking for?
Photo? The Dalvon photo of the Pixel 8. Oh, here it is. All right, here we go. Now, let's just take a moment here to take a look at this photograph because I got a theory. That watch doesn't look like a Pixel watch to me. It's got flatter edges. It looks like a bit of a Samsung watch. Are we going to get two versions of the Pixel watch? Pro
there was
a regular.
There was FCC filing for Fitbit, which Google owns. And they were supposed to be releasing another one, even though they just had the Sense 2 and the Versa 4 released. I read somewhere that they're releasing, so maybe that's part of that Fitbit line. Maybe they're releasing another, because Fitbit's always been pretty thin and they last forever. So maybe that's what that is. I don't know.
Now, the issue that with this photo is it appears as though it has that Pixel crown, though. So if you look in the right corner of the image here, I don't know if I can make this a bit bigger. Let's see if I can do that. Right here, it looks as though the crown is colored, but also very pixely or Pixel Watch looking. So I wonder if Google's been keeping something under wraps and maybe they are going to release two sizes or maybe a Pro variant and a regular variant, kind of like Apple's doing. Because that does not look to me at all like a Pixel Watch.
I just said it could be just a bigger and smaller version too.
It could be, yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's a flat edges. It doesn't look like it's bulbous. It doesn't look like it's...
Do we know if Google's going to have a live event or they're going to do one of those pre-recorded things?
It's a live event.
Okay.
I believe it's a live event, yeah. So I don't know. It's interesting. Like, I know no one's talking about this, but I just, looking at this image, looking at what was leaked today, it kind of sets up a little bit of a bell in my head. Like, I wonder if they've got something under wraps that they haven't been
I got a solution. Call Dalvon. He's obviously wearing it. He probably knows exactly what we're talking about.
Let's call him right now, live on the air. Let's do that right now. I have him right here on my phone. I'm going to call Dalvon and see if we can get expert opinion. He's going to freak out because I never called Dalvon, but this will be hilarious if we can manage to get
Oh my God.
So let's see this. Dalvon, let's see right now.
he's like, I'm out with my girl.
All right, here we go. Live on air. We're going to see if Dalvon.
You know damn well he's screening his calls.
What's up, bro?
Hey, Dalvon, what's going on, brother?
I'm good. Yeah, 2 cheeseburgers, ketchup only.
Oh, okay, you got it. Okay, perfect. Yeah, we got your order, man. How's it going?
I'm good.
So we have you live on air right now on our podcast. Sorry to interrupt your night with your lady.
Are you good?
Hi, how's it going? Okay. So we're just looking at the alleged leaked image of you holding a Pixel phone, which we know is not you. So we wanted to hear it from the source directly because we saw a leak today, a video introducing the Pixel Watch 2. But in the photo of that looks like you, Dalvon, it looks like that watch is not a Pixel Watch. And we were wondering if you had any insider info, buddy.
Well, I can't say because I'm gonna get in trouble, so I can't say.
Right? Yes, it's that NDA. Yeah, we got it.
It's not me. I wish it was. I really wish it was, but it's not. It's my lookalike.
Now, Delvon, really quickly.
Doppelganger.
Quick 10 seconds here. We're just debating on the podcast live right now. Do you think we're going to get two versions of the app of the Pixel Watch, a Pro and a regular version? Yes or no?
I'm gonna say yes. I think so.
Oh, there you go. You heard it from the source, ladies and gentlemen. All right, my man. Thank you. Have a good night. Bye.
That is hilarious.
You just heard it live from the source right there. Delvon, our regular on here on the TNT podcast.
You know what about him? He starts laughing immediately.
Yeah, he knows straight away what we're getting for.
If it was me, if I was on the phone, I'd be like, "What do you mean it's not you? That is you. So tell me what the hell."
So you heard it. I believe we might get two versions. Dalvon believes we might get two versions. Dan, yes or no? Two versions of the Pixel Watch.
I'm going to go no, simply because they're already losing enough on the watch as it is. And they're probably going to carry on losing it as well. So I don't
give them
think...
away. They can give them away with the Pixel Fold 2.
Yeah, but then
yeah.
I just don't think it's a great. I mean, if maybe it's something a bit different to the Pixel Watch and they goes for something a little bit more sort of scaled back that's a little bit cheaper.
Okay.
Maybe
so like a budget, an A
more of a budget version.
Ooh,
made of plastic.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Possibly, and maybe I don't know. Maybe I have it as a Fitbit or something. I don't know. I ain't got a clue.
It could be a Fitbit watch. We might just be causing fucking a conspiracy here, but it could just be a Fitbit for all we know, as Tuna said. Sam, do you reckon we're going to get a Pro and a regular?
No, and like I said, I've made this very clear on everything I've talked about. I would wish they would go with a Pixel Watch and a Pixel Band. Or some kind of a pixel,
yeah.
Or Pixel, and it doesn't have to be, like something like this, like the Mi Band. It could be a little bit more of a wider, but not so wide like the Huawei.
You want a bangle?
Yeah, I mean, basically something like a Fitbit, like their Sense, or like something that's more in the line. I mean, for a person like me, as the only reason I don't wear my Galaxy Watch is because it barely makes it through a day, and I keep taking it off and putting it on a charger, taking it off and putting it on a charger. I was like, I need more battery life than a day and a half.
Mine's in a drawer.
Yeah, I just do, and then until a watch can come out, other than like a Huawei, some of their watches are like 2 or 4 days. I'm not, and I don't need that big watch. I don't use apps on my phone. I just for me. More fitness tracking, more basic notifications, and just something that's got a week-long battery life. This cost me $45.
And that's the pain point, Sam. If Fitbit made a device like what I don't have it on now, I have the Sense 2, and I got a hell of a deal. It was a price error by Amazon. They sold it to me for $79, and when I bought it for $79, it was $300 new, and then dropped it to $199. That's too much for what it does. It's too much. I think if they had it for $100 or less, I think they'd sell a hell of a lot more.
If they had like a Pixel Band, I would be more inclined to probably buy that.
Yeah. As a side note, I know we all love tech, but I've just recently started wearing just a regular watch, and I'm going to be honest with you.
What's that?
Just like a tick watch, like a tick.
Wow.
One of those.
I was wearing
you have
a
to wind
regular
it
watch
up.
the other day myself. Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, it's very easy to forget about smartwatches once you realize you don't have to charge it every day.
Can't be a proper watch. You
just can't. Yeah, it's just too flawless. And I mean, it's one of those things. You're not getting notifications. You're not getting phone calls on your wrist and all that.
But that's
shit.
a good
You're not
thing.
getting heart rate. It is sometimes, right? And I mean, there's a case for just a regular watch as well. I mean, I was all about the Apple Watch Ultra when it first came out. I wore that for 3, 4, 5, 6 months. And then I kind of got over it. I was wearing the Whoop Band for a little bit there. For most of this year, I was wearing the Whoop Band. I've since taken that off too. Not because it's a bad product. In fact, it was pissing me off, if I'm being honest, because it kept not syncing with my smartphone, which was annoying, which is a common Whoop problem for the record. But I don't know. It's one of those things where I think you don't have to have the best and latest and greatest to make it work for you. But I mean, again, I'd like to see Google release a smartwatch that's a big improvement over last year. I think last year was kind of proof of concept.
I think they just need one version that just is a solid,
right?
Yeah, a solid buy.
Just
not
a solid
too big,
base to
not
start.
too
I mean,
small.
last year's was just not. It just didn't hit the mark.
Yeah, and I mean, it's kind of yeah. I mean, it
did a lot of
there.
things right. I mean, when I used one in store, I mean, it worked. It was a lot smoother than using a Galaxy Watch. I can tell you that much.
Yeah.
But,
well, that's exactly where I think Google might be able to strike while the iron's hot, because the Samsung watches haven't been received all that well this year. They're not as good as last year's 5 Pros and all of that. So Google comes out with a slightly bigger, better battery, newer sensors, get rid of that bullshit Fitbit fucking subscription bull nuts stuff that they were using at the beginning there. They might actually be able to kind of steal a couple of consumers away. And I mean, maybe even have, heaven forbid, Samsung users using a Pixel watch as their supporting smartwatch of choice instead of a Galaxy Watch. Interesting, right? And get rid of that Bixby bullshit. So I don't know. It's interesting. I mean, I think again, Google's the best at releasing and leaking stuff when they want to and need to, and they've managed to do it again this year. And look, as a consumer, as somebody that what looks at this, I go, those are pretty good. And I think if you've frequented Twitter or X or any of those other social media platforms, you might be seeing a lot of people with the same kind of thought that, hey, here we are. These are pretty decent. Right before Apple manages to show us what they've got planned, I don't know. It might actually bring a couple of people in to their products.
I see Pixels all over the place, to be fair, here in the UK. I mean, I saw more just when I went to the supermarket the other day. I saw 2.
Right. So
every time I go into a phone store, last time I went in, when I actually got my Xperia last time round, there was 2 Pixel 7A's being sold. And like they sell pretty well here.
Well, it's interesting because I was at shooting practice for work, and we're all on the range, and I put my stuff in a bag, and I noticed the guy had a Pixel 6 Pro or 7 Pro. He was kind of messing with it, and I had my fold, and I pulled it out, and a guy next to me goes, "What is that?" I said, "A folding phone." He goes, "They have folding phones?" I'm like, this was like last week.
Yeah.
Like, we had this Pixel fold. He goes, "Pixel? Who makes Pixel?" And I'm like, you know what?
Yeah, it just
I can't do this right now.
Better not to engage.
He set me off. Me off.
Yeah. All of a sudden, tuna hit the target.
Did you see the leaked price, the rumored price increases for the Pixels at all?
Yes. Yeah.
I don't. What's the rumored price?
Well, quite a big increase from what I saw.
Like $100 or.
Like I think it pushed the Pro like over $1,000. Like it was ridiculous. So I don't believe it myself, but
the rumors are the pricing is as follows. We don't know this for sure, so this is a bit of speculation. It will start at $899.
That's USD or
that's USD, correct?
Okay.
Now I don't remember what the Pixel 7 Pro was. I thought the Pixel 7 Pro was the same.
$899 for the Pro.
I believe maybe it doesn't actually specify here, but they're just saying that. No, sorry, that is the Pro. Yeah, so
it's still cheaper than the iPhone Max, I'm sure.
It is.
I don't think that's the prices that I saw rumored. There's something else.
Maybe that's right. It could be higher. I'm just going based on an article we see here, but there may be. Let's have. Oh, hang on a second. Let's have a look.
Sorry, I'm just doing my Pixel, so I can get one for
last minute research here. Here we go. Okay, so Pixel 8 Pro starting price for the 128. This is, of course, in British pounds.
128?
Yeah, 128 configuration, yeah. So just doing the conversion.
Do you think they do 128 to push people to their
I've
cloud?
got euros price, and I've got you.
11, it looks like American dollars for the starting 128 gigabyte Pixel 8 Pro is $1,200.
No way.
Yep.
That's what they were saying. That's literally what they were saying.
Oh man!
No way.
If it goes up that high, they'll never sell it. They will crater every bit of their sales. No.
Although, look at the Pixel Fold price.
Yeah.
Exactly. But the Pixel Fold is a phone that's not a slab phone.
I know.
So basically, The price hike adds up to, hang on a second, let's just do some math here. It's a price hike of $160 for the regular, and I believe
it ain't $1,200. No way.
It's
not a Sony.
And about $300 increase for the Pixel for the Pro.
Oh man, Samsung's probably going, please.
Yes, but that'd be true.
They're begging.
You literally cannot charge
think about it.
for a phone with tensor in it. You just can't.
You can't.
Well, we don't know much about the
and 128 too.
I mean, we don't know about the
based on a 2200 Exynos 2200 type thing in it, so it's
not going to be anything special.
8 Gen 1-ish performance,
So basically, the starting price, the starting price is going to be $1,000 or more for a Pro. That's crazy.
Well, here's my thing. If Google raises the price, we know Apple's going to raise the price.
Yes.
Samsung's chomping at the bit because then they can raise their price.
Yeah.
All they're going to do is follow suit and make more money and make the consumer payment. And we'll all go to AT&T, Verizon, whoever, and we'll finance
them. Yeah. Oh man, I hope that's not true because I'm as much as I love smartphones, they are getting fucking expensive and not for a lot of change or difference. You're not getting maybe what we want for the price there. And the Pixel
Dan
8
just
Pro,
depressed me for the rest of the evening. Thanks, Dan.
Sorry.
You're welcome, mate. You're welcome.
And just so we know, you can make donations to the TNT Podcast. We'll take used kidneys, stuff like that. We'll sell them on the dark web.
We'll be the first podcast that's Team Pixel. We'll all take one and we'll show them off on screen.
Yep, exactly. There we go.
Come on,
Google, you're out there. We'll trade in. We'll see what happens. But I don't know. I hope that's not the case, but it could very well be. But time will tell.
If that's the case, in closing,
yep,
we all needed to, after Techtober is over with, we all need to put regular watches on.
Yep.
Put our phones on the charger, turn them off, and have some break from tech.
Some break from tech. Yeah, we're gonna have to have a tech podcast break. We're gonna take 2 months off and not use any
we'll
tech.
do that one. We'll do that one week. We'll all just try and not use stuff for a week and then come back and be like,
"Yep, we died."
And we can come on the podcast and talk about it. How was your week without tech? Well,
you mean half a day?
My job requires me to have tech. My job requires I wear a body cam. I can't take it off. I'll get fired.
I love it. Well, listen, another interesting week in tech. This time next week, we should have some great talk about Apple's releases to bring to our podcast. But for the meantime, go out there, enjoy what you actually have while it's still reasonably priced. And again, we'll be taking donations. You can reach out to us on X, and we'll start putting together a GoFundMe for all of the tech we would like to buy on the channel.
Worst case, we'll just have a bake sale. We'll just do
a bake sale, yeah.
Ooh,
nice.
Cupcakes, cupcakes, and maybe breads.
Ants on a log.
Yeah,
I can't bake. It's a good idea.
My other half can bake, so that'll
I'll do a lemonade stand.
I can bake.
Yeah,
there you go.
There we go. I love it. All right. Well, on that note, we will go practice our baking skills and we'll catch you next week, Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you, Dan, Tuna, Sam. Always a pleasure. And we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks.